Terry, thank you so much for your time today. I do want to get to the budget. Before I do, I want to ask about Treasury's activities and your activities with Communist China. And I'm so concerned about what appears to be appeasement coming from Treasury. And of course, we know China has practiced intellectual property theft. You've got the genocide that is taking place against the Uyghurs there in Xinjiang, and the Trump administration had sanctioned the Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps because they're a paramilitary organization with a 50% stake in more than 2,800 Chinese companies. And what we have received is reports that under your leadership at Treasury, that you all have not fully enforced these sanctions or issued new sanctions against subsidiaries of this entity. And that is disturbing. So I would like to know what specific actions you're taking to ensure that the Chinese Communist Party entity is sanctioned to the fullest extent of the law. And what are you doing to identify individuals and entities to sanction, to put further pressure on Communist China for its ongoing genocide and its crimes against humanity?
Well, I absolutely agree with you that Treasury and the Biden administration should be sanctioning human rights violations that are occurring in Xinjiang. And there is no appeasement, I want to assure you, on this matter. If you're aware of some specific matter that you
we'll
think
be happy to
involves a problem,
reports.
I will put you in touch with my, your staff in touch with mine to try to clarify what we're doing. But there hasn't been, to the best of my knowledge, any weakening of these sanctions. We take them seriously.
Treasury sits on the Forced Labor Enforcement Task Force and has the ability to make recommendations for Chinese entities to be added to the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act entity list. Currently, the majority of entities were put on the list by the Departments of Commerce and Homeland Security, and you have broad capabilities for identifying bad actors, such as through the Office of Foreign Asset Control, yet Treasury has not made recommendations for new actors to be added to the entity list. So as you review this, if you could let me know why you have not and what you plan to do about that, that would be helpful.
I would be glad to get you a briefing on it, but I do want to emphasize that these human rights violations are a very serious concern, and our sanctions and use of our authorities are intended.
And we would like to see those used to the full extent of the law, and it's disturbing to hear that they are not. Let me ask you one other thing. It is National Ag Week, and I just was talking to some of our producers in Tennessee. U.S. ag exports dropped by $17 billion last year, and China did not live up to their ag purchase. We hear this from our soy and our cotton farmers in Tennessee. And there were some great provisions put in place under President Trump's Phase 1 deal. So have you or your staff raised this to Chinese officials in your meetings?
Yes. U.S. Trade Representative has tried to hold China to the agreement to carry out the commitments that they made. China has failed to do so, and we have not lowered any of the tariffs that we put in place. And I think, as you're aware, we've taken many other actions to deal with unfair Chinese practices, including threats to our national security.
Yes, Madam Secretary, I will send you this in writing, but I do want to talk to you about Pillar 1 and Pillar 2, because the cost to the U.S. on Pillar 1 is $1.4 billion, and the revenue loss from Pillar 2 is estimated to be in the range of 60 to 120 billion, and that's a joint tax number. And we're very concerned about that. You look at that, and then you look at what is happening with ag products, and we're quite concerned about where these actions are taking us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thank my colleague. And Madam Secretary, would you like to give a quick response? I know we're staying within 5 minutes, or would you like to just get back to my colleague in writing?
I could give a brief response on Pillar 1, if that's okay. We're attempting to negotiate in the OECD a Pillar 1 agreement that will bring significant benefits to American businesses that have been hit with unfair and discriminatory tax burdens in many parts of the world. We're really trying to eliminate that. And we're also trying to get tax certainty for American companies that face significant and costly disputes about transfer pricing and other matters. There would be substantial benefits to American businesses from this agreement if we conclude it. Our own internal estimate is, there's a lot of uncertainty, but our own internal estimate is about $500 million. And I think in the grand scheme of things, when you look at what the benefits are for the United States, that needs to be evaluated. We've not concluded a deal and are not ready to bring it to you.
The time my colleague has expired. I know we'll be talking a lot about this in the days ahead. Senator Langford.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And I would hope that we would spend a lot more time talking about Pillar 1 and Pillar 2 in the days ahead. Let me just do a quick follow-up question on that. Secretary Yellen, the Pillar 1, Pillar 2 agreements, are these planned to be an executive agreement only, or is it planned to be able to come through this committee, anything on the tax policy?